All right, folks, welcome back. It's One Stage at a Time, episode 4. And as always, I'm Andy Prim.
And I'm Aaron Neeson.
And we got a couple guests with us in the studio today, some special guests. Guests, why don't you introduce yourselves?
I'm Cheffon Lemay.
Do I have a last name?
Ponyta Pokemon.
Ponyta Pokemon.
Yeah, that. Hi.
All right, welcome to the pod, Cheffon Lemay and Ponyta Pokemon.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to have you.
An honor and a pleasure.
So today we're talking about Level 4, World 1-4 of Super Mario Brothers for the Nintendo Entertainment System. And we had you two, so just so you know, folks, this is a re-recording. Yeah. We had a quality issue with the first recording, so we decided that
we bungled it.
Yeah, let's go ahead and just do it again, and we'll talk about it with a couple special guests here.
So that's what we're doing, folks. And this level is a big level for this game. This is the first castle level, and a lot of firsts in this stage as well. So I'm curious, before we get too deep into the level, Cheffon, what is your experience with Super Mario Brothers?
I wish my brother were here right now. He would laugh. But I was the younger child, so I got to play Luigi occasionally, but mostly just watched. So very, very little experience.
Okay, and Ponyta, what about you?
I've never seen this before.
You've never even seen Super Mario Brothers before.
No.
All right, so this is an interesting contrast because Aaron and I, this is like in our blood.
Well, so I didn't have a Nintendo Entertainment System growing up. We've talked about this on the podcast, but I didn't have one growing up. I'd played the game before, and since you know, I didn't have a Nintendo or Super Nintendo, but I played plenty of Nintendo 64 and GameCube Mario. But I grew up with Sonic, so Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario World were not something I grew up on or knew the gameplay of, but I still knew of it. You've never seen it before.
No, you pulled it up and I was like, what is that? Why is that? Is that Mario? Why? Yeah. It's very digital.
Why does he look so weird?
Right. Yes. What is this dirty water that you're telling me is supposed to be lava? It's the Mississippi River. It's not. I still stand by that it's not lava.
Folks, we're from St. Louis, and if you've seen the Mississippi River, you would agree with what Ponyta just said.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I saw when she said that, I was like, yeah, fair point. Fair point. That does look like the Mississippi. But I wouldn't get in the Mississippi either.
Yeah, you'd
she's like,
also die.
Yeah, she's like, why does the Mississippi kill you? I'm like, because the Mississippi kills you.
So, Cheffon, what are your general impressions of this stage we have just played?
Well, it's very dungeony, I would say. Yeah, I was kind of surprised that for someone that does not play a lot of video games that I got farther than I thought I would, you know.
Yeah, I would say both you and Ponyta did quite well for folks who have like not grown up doing this kind of stuff the way me and Aaron have. It's not an easy level. It really isn't.
No, this is the most challenging of the ones so far. Definitely. Even the previous one, which is an acrobatic one where you're up in the air and jumping from platform to platform.
That sounds crazy.
This one's definitely the most challenging of them. There's more pits and more like no
swimming.
Clear path. Yeah. Accidental swimming.
I wanted to swim in every channel that I found.
But yeah, this is the most challenging by far. And especially you, Ponyta, we threw you right into the deep end.
Yeah, I volunteered to go first.
You did, and you did great. Ish.
So Ponyta.
For one who hadn't played.
Ponyta, what were your impressions of this stage?
Well, when you played all the way through, I realized how short it actually was. So then I felt like I actually accomplished something by getting as far as I did.
Yeah, you were really pretty close to the end of the stage.
Yeah, it took me 10 tries. So
yeah, you know, who's counting?
Us, we're counting.
Thank you for keeping track on that. No, it was just a very new experience. I mean, I played Paper Mario, and I mean, this is just a totally different feel in how it acted and felt.
Yeah, like especially like compared to more modern games like Paper Mario, the controls are maybe a little stiffer and don't kind of respond in the same way you might want them to. And you made an interesting comment while you were playing, which was that the music was kind of contributing to
My anxiety.
Yeah.
It's very ominous and making my heart rate feel a little higher than normal. But yeah, the music was really starting to affect me.
Which is by design, obviously. Like they wanted you to be stressed out and a little and intimidated and a little freaked out, and even even me playing it. And again, I haven't played a ton of Super Mario, but I played enough that I shouldn't be affected by it, I suppose. But it still does, because it's just such a well crafted, manic, insane song to be playing while you're trying to navigate and do platforming.
It's really a masterful composition. When you think like, I feel like there's only 2 instruments in that song. It's really stripped down and simple, but
Subtle but effective.
yeah. So there's actually a lot of firsts in this stage. We should cover some of those. This is, like we said at the top, this is the first castle stage of any Mario game ever. And castle stages are really a staple of the series nowadays. We've also got the first lava pit. We've got the first fire bar, which are those like spinning fire bars that spin around in place. And of course, we have the first appearance of everyone's favorite villain, ? Bowser, the King of the Koopas.
He was kind of adorable.
I concur that he was
He's like
cuter
the
than I
cutest
expected.
Bowser I've ever seen. And he had the big belly, and he was just. Rawr.
We have kind of an ongoing debate on this show about whether or not Bowser is actually the villain of this series.
I contend that he is a hero and a liberator, and that the Mushroom Kingdom is it subjugates it treats the Koopas as less than the Toads.
Well, my question is, how does he have so many castles if they, at the end of this stage,
That's an excellent
decided
question.
that, the princess is not in this castle?
I concur
What
that,
is-
like, what's a guy got to do
So
to,
fun bit of lore, the lore of Super Mario Brothers is that Koopa turned all the denizens of the Mushroom Kingdom into things.
Right. Yeah. He's quote unquote like a dark sorcerer, according to the instruction manual for this game. And he used his magic to turn all of the people of the Mushroom Kingdom into bricks and stones and even plants. So presumably this castle is built out of stones that were once
And
human
people?
or mushroom people
and
or whatever.
Mario's just like blasting them up, like, just like pow, pow, murder, murder.
Yeah,
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
It's messed up when you think about it, isn't it?
So he just says castles made of people. That's not weird.
Still, though, I mean, you got to think Bowser needs someone to put all this stuff together. Do you think this is like a union job? Is he like the local steward, the shop steward for this union?
He hires the Hammer Bros.
Oh, right. Okay.
They're definitely Masons.
Did he hire like Mario to do his plumbing, or where?
He stiffed him on the
This
bill.
whole thing's a
He
union
stiffed him on the bill, and this is all Mario trying to get paid.
There's no union, I guess. So
yeah, are those like when they're kind of lined up on the floating blocks, like the plants and the things that walk back and forth? Is that not a picket line? Is
Wait.
Mario crossing a picket line? Because I come from
He's
a
a
long line of UAW.
So I
and
just had a
Teamsters,
moment.
and I might have an issue with that.
if the bricks are people and he turns people into objects, there's mushrooms inside of, like, did he put a person inside of a person in those
Yeah,
bricks that
that's
are
a very
holding
good
items?
question.
That is a very good question.
And what did you do in your life to be like a magical item? Like, how did he just? I'm going way too deep into this.
Oh,
but-
yeah. Like, how does he decide?
This is what a deep dive into the lore. It makes you ask these questions, and
Well, as long as we're on the subject of Bowser and the lore of Bowser, I thought it might be a good chance to talk about the history of this character and how he was created. So the creator of Bowser, Shigeru Miyamoto, who's, the guy when it comes to Mario. So Shigeru Miyamoto had seen a film. This was an anime adaptation of Journey to the West, and Journey to the West is like one of these great Chinese novels that has been like retold and remade a bunch of different times. Dragon Ball, for example, is a loose remake of Journey to the West. So he'd seen this adaptation, and he was struck by this character called the Ox King in Journey to the West, who's like this big brawny type. And so he decided to model his villain in this game after the Ox King. So in the early concept art for Bowser, instead of being like a green reptile, he was more of a gray colored mammal, like an ox. Like he still had the horns, but he had kind of like more of a mammalian snout and a gray color. And you can like find this art online. But yeah, it's interesting because it shows you like kind of the development that they went through. Some other artists at Nintendo kind of got a hold of it, and they helped him develop it more into what we have today, because there were already like turtles in like the army of the villains, and they thought, well, maybe the boss should be just a big angry turtle himself. And so that's how we got Bowser.
And I'm searching for that picture right now just because I'm very curious as to what the original Bowser design looked like. Because it sounds it'd be interesting to see where the development came from. Andy, you've seen these pictures, obviously.
Yeah.
And what do you think of them?
Well, it's not that it's like a bad design, but I think it makes sense that they adapted it and changed it so that he's also a reptile, in keeping with like, the theme of the Koopa clan being like a group of angry turtles, although there's mushrooms in there too and plants. So, it's kind of whatever. It's all fantasy, but I think it makes sense. I'm glad that they changed it.
So Legend of Zelda, that came after Mario, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But they must have been in development maybe similar times?
Probably not.
No?
Development time for these kinds of games is pretty short. Actually, Zelda uses a more advanced type of game pack that could hold a battery save for one thing, but also just more data in general. Super Mario Brothers, that is, had a much more like simpler type of game pack that didn't have a battery save and definitely couldn't hold as much data on the ROM. And Miyamoto was the director of both of those games. So certainly I'm pretty sure that he wasn't working on them at the same time. They might have had like concept talks and stuff like that, but probably the development was more discreet than that.
Okay. All right. I was just wondering like how similar with the horns and the mammalian snout Bowser would be to Ganon,
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, maybe there was some inspiration there.
Yeah.
Like he took some of the designs that had gotten scrapped and repurposed them.
Yeah, maybe. Just thought that crossed my mind.
It's all twirler mustaches.
I have one to twirl.
So when was this Journey to the West written?
That's an excellent question. Journey to the West, I am not sure when it was written. Probably not BCs, but probably like early ADs. Like this, it's a very, very old novel.
So I'm a little humbled because I kept making these really smart remarks about like the Dantean themes, and I was thinking, does this echo Alphonse Mucha's Slavic epic? Like I've got all these like really smart mouth remarks, but it really is rooted in some culture.
Yeah. In a way, at least as far as like inspiration and like character designs and stuff like that, they were certainly paying attention to stuff that was out at the time. And Journey to the West is like, it served as the source for lots and lots and lots of stuff in Japan and in China. I don't want to talk about stuff I don't really know that much about,
right.
but I think there's something like 4 great Chinese novels, they say, and Journey to the West is one. There's another one called The Water Margin that the Suikoden series of games is based off of, and I guess there's a couple of others too.
What's Star Fox based off of?
Star Fox is based off of The Tale of Genji.
Is that right? I'll have to check that one out.
Are you guys ready for some lore corner?
Yeah. Hit us with that lore corner.
Let's visit the lore corner. So at the end of this stage, World 1-4, Bowser is defeated. We rescue not the princess.
Yeah. We defeat not Bowser, which we should talk about in a second, too.
Yeah, that's true.
What?
We defeat not Bowser.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Oh, should we talk about that first?
Let's just talk about that first.
Okay, first we defeat not Bowser.
So when you defeat Bowser in this stage, there's 2 ways you can do it. You can either jump over him and grab the axe,
which you saw Andy do.
Right.
And that dumps him in the lava.
Or you can defeat him with fireballs, which you saw me do after a little bit. In which case, you see Bowser turn into a grayed out Goomba and then fall into the lava.
Oh, my brain went back to Sonic, and I just thought that was normal for it to turn into an animal, and it defeated it. And so I didn't even really think. I saw that. I was like, yeah, that's what happens when you kill something. It turns back to its
that's
little bunny self.
No, that was unusual. So Bowser in this castle was not Bowser at all. He was an enchanted Goomba.
In a castle without a princess.
And then you defeat the enchanted Goomba, and you find out that the princess that you thought was at the end of this castle was not in that castle.
And then there's a giant baby toad. It's just like
yeah. Toad looks pretty different in this one. His proportions.
What is that?
I mean, like he looks like Toad, but his proportions are very different. He's almost like a man shape, like in a big diaper. Like
he's like Baby Huey.
Yeah. He's not as cute as he usually is.
No, he's my favorite typically, and that thing was
a little frightening.
Yeah.
Ponyta does not like old school Toad.
No, not digging it.
I guess we should say a few words about like the Bowser boss fight itself.
Oh, absolutely. I learned something in this fight.
Yeah.
So let's start from the beginning. You're running through the level. You're dodging fireballs. You're jumping over lava pits of the Mississippi River, and after about
we forgot to do stats on this level too.
Okay, let's do stats real quick.
Not much for stats though, really. It's a fairly short stage. There's only 6 coins in this stage. They're in invisible blocks, so you probably miss them anyway.
Yeah, they're not just hanging out.
There's no Starman, there's no 1-ups, there's no secret areas, and there's a single power-up at the very beginning of the stage in a question mark block. And that's it.
Yep, that's it. It's a very bare bones but challenging level. I mean, the coins to me, it almost seems like they're just like what's the word I'm looking for? They're
extraneous.
Yeah, there you go. That's perfect. Thank you, English major Andy. They're extraneous. They are not. They don't really serve much purpose except for those hunters like you are. I know.
I like to get them.
Yeah. The people who want to seek out every single little thing. The completionists, which I'm not. No, thanks. I'm good. I'll just go fight Bowser. Thank you.
Not Bowser.
Not Bowser. Goom Bowser.
So I'm curious to hear from our guests. What did you think of Bowser, like as a boss, as an enemy that we encounter in this stage?
Beyond surprisingly cute.
I did not actually get to him personally myself, but
it's true. You saw us fight him.
Yes. Is that what you call it? Fighting? Because I feel like there was nothing really involved at all, and it was just a very like get to like from the front to the beginning, just running through the stage. It didn't feel like there was a fight at all, really.
Yeah, and you can rush past him.
Right.
So that's an interesting point because this is the before we get into that, Cheffon, what did you think of Bowser?
Yeah, I was not really surprised. I had seen him before, but I also did not get to fight him because those like twirly things.
They got the best of you, huh?
Got me, but I was like, oh, there's my guy, a long time no see friend.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, even someone who doesn't play a lot of video games pretty much recognizes Bowser. And even like his design in a game as old as this, it's still recognizably Bowser.
Yeah. At this point, he's an iconic villain, or not villain, hero.
If you say so.
I still maintain that he is the hero of the story, and we are playing a crummy plumber who's trying to get a rightfully unpaid bill.
Well, we don't know that he's a bad plumber. I mean, he certainly knows his way around a pipe.
Plumbers should not climb down the plumbing in the pipes themselves, man.
If they're dedicated to their work, they should.
If I saw a plumber trying to wedge himself down my toilet, I would fire him on the spot.
Well, that would just be misuse of resources. But sometimes you got to go in the sewer if you want to really unclog something.
Like here in the Mario Brothers movie, Bob Hoskins got sucked down a toilet and he didn't unclog anything. That toilet was still broken when he got back.
You don't know that.
I have some questions about that movie, actually. Should I save them?
Shoot.
Yeah, no, then bring him up.
So, Andy, our cinephile, was the same guy directing a lot of other stuff at that time? Because I feel like a lot of 90s stuff is running together in my mind. I was thinking about that movie earlier and I was like, was LL Cool J there? Did it just look like it was an LL Cool J video because it was like in a big pipe? Or did the same guy also do toys? I feel like it just had a certain flavor that the 90s sort of felt like.
So I actually have no idea who directed that movie. But
It was probably just a one-off.
it's like,
Okay.
but it's funny that you mentioned toys because I think those both have a similar like surreal 90s quality to them. And they're both movies that I enjoy a great deal, even though I can recognize like objectively that they have some flaws.
I love the Super Mario Brothers movie. I love it. It is fun.
I know that was a thing.
It's really stupid, but it's really fun. It's got Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo and Dennis Hopper, and it's glorious.
Why was Dennis
He
Hopper
played
doing this?
Bowser.
Who approached him? Like, I want to see
It was
somebody
some
like
executive with a bag of money and
pitching this to Dennis Hopper. Okay, so LL Cool J was not in this. This is like we were talking about the other day that all movies about Vietnam like run together in my mind. And I'm like, is it Apocalypse Now or is it Lieutenant Dan or what?
Really? You confuse Apocalypse Now and Forrest Gump?
Probably not Apocalypse Now and Forrest Gump, but like Apocalypse Now and like
Tropic Thunder?
Full Metal Jacket and
So does
Hey, you know who's in Apocalypse Now?
Casualties of War. Who's in Apocalypse
Dennis
Now?
Hopper.
Dennis Hopper.
I knew it.
Yeah, Dennis Hopper. Yeah.
Bowser.
Andy's favorite game.
But ladies love Cool James. You know, that's something that we have not riffed on is LL Cool J in other roles. You know, LL Cool J as Mario or as Hercule Poirot. Or how's your LL impression?
I
Don't do it on this
yeah,
podcast.
no, I don't. I can't do that. I don't really know LL
Danger.
Cool J's work.
Danger.
We'll have to work on that one. Okay.
He blew up a shark in Deep Blue Sea. That was fun.
Oh, I do remember that
Yeah.
one. That was a good
he
movie.
blew him up using an oven.
Did you know that he likes the girls from Up Around the Way? I've heard.
I'll take
It's
your
a
word
song.
for it.
It's a
I'll take your
song.
word for it.
Can you sing it for us?
Not with a cold, no.
Oh, that's what's stopping you. So,
All right, we've talked about Bowser. We've talked about fighting Bowser. We've talked about how you don't really have to fight him. Like
don't.
Ponyta said, you can just kind of run by this guy.
But I learned something new today. I tried to jump over Bowser and I bonked my head on the little moving platform above
Yeah.
and fell
Yeah.
onto Bowser and died. I didn't realize that you couldn't jump through them. I don't know how I missed that through all these years, or maybe I learned it at some point and forgot, but I tried to jump over him, bonked right into it and fell right onto him and died. And I was like, oh,
Well, this is how we learn.
I felt indignation at that. And I was like, that is, how dare you, sir?
But of course, once you finally do grab the axe, drop him in the lava, you discover that the princess is not here. That instead we have Toad. This is the first appearance of
baby
Toad. Big fat baby Huey looking Toad.
Yeah, he was. I am
big fat-
horrified by that image. In my
So,
mind.
like, really though, like Toad is supposed, like, that's his. He looks like he's wearing a diaper. He makes a joke about his diaper, but he's wearing. He's like, they're supposed to be like Aladdin pants, right?
Yeah.
They're like Aladdin
Yeah.
pants, and that's why he's got a vest too. He's basically dressed like Aladdin.
Yeah. Yeah.
well, see, here's my thing.
But because his like nowadays his artwork is just him in his shoes. He doesn't have legs. His shoes are just sort of attached to the bottom of his
he's
torso.
just freaking adorable and little, and this was like
No,
a
that's fine. I'm not
weird
saying it's not.
Billiken, like Buddha belly.
Also,
just like Jabba
in
the
St.
Hutt
Louis.
And he's giving you the finger.
Yeah,
the
I
double
was
bird.
just like, what? This is not everything
This is
I
not
know.
the Toad I
right,
love.
Right.
This isn't Captain Toad Treasure Tracker.
Well,
How
speaking
frustrating
of
is
Toad,
that? Sorry, how frustrating is that ending though? Like you get to it and you're like, the princess isn't here. Get out of here. It's not.
Oh, it's a classic fake out.
But
yeah.
it's not even like. So you beat the first level of Donkey Kong. You get to what's her face, Pauline. You get to Pauline. Donkey Kong grabs her and runs away. That's at least more like, oh, you. But this one, it's like, really? I just beat him. This is like a.
Did you though? You didn't really have to work for it. Why are you so mad?
You died like 10 times and didn't get to him. What do you mean?
I went swimming. I went for a refreshing dip in the muddy Mississippi, and
With all of
didn't
those
agree with my.
nice heavy
Like, what do you mean? It was so easy to get to him.
Bloodstream.
I didn't. I couldn't do it, but
You're the expert.
yeah,
Man.
Andy's the expert. That's like half the premise of this podcast. I died a bunch. I played it again today. I died a bunch. I died like 6 times.
I mean, it'll happen. It's, it's not an easy game. I mean, you say I'm an expert, but I die a lot when I play this game.
Yes. Expert meaning much more versed in it than I am.
Well, that says maybe, but, we certainly had some trials and tribulations with this stage, and we're going to have a lot more in the worlds to come.
Yes.
We're going to face Bowser 7 more times throughout the course of this game. A little preview of things to come.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'm not dreading it at all.
All
Let's
right.
see what real Bowser looks like.
I think he looks pretty much the same.
Yeah, I think
thought
more or
maybe
less.
he was special.
He behaves differently.
Yeah,
though.
no, he behaves. He gets
Yeah.
more challenging as you go on. Like final real Bowser is the most challenging and the most sophisticated enemy.
Are you
probably
saying
in the
there are
game.
more not Bowsers?
There's
Ooh.
6 more.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's 8 worlds, 8 castles,
none.
7 non-Bowsers, 1 real Bowser.
Yeah. Presumably
His
Bowser
official
is
name.
like selecting certain minions to transform into copies of himself.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question for the panel. Toad, who we rescue at the end of the stage, he
Oh,
has.
we rescued him? I thought he was just hanging out. Just
Oh
like-
yeah, maybe this is just where he lives, and he's just happy to see us.
Well, again, this is a re-record, so Andy's talked about this before with me, and I'm very, very intrigued by this whole thing that Andy's about to dig into. So
Okay, tell us.
please.
Oh yeah, this
listening,
is some deep lore here. Toad has like a mushroom like shaped thing on his head, right? That's his most
This is what I
distinguishing
thought I was
feature.
going to talk about, but this is interesting too.
Is it a hat?
That's the question. Is it a hat or is it his head? What do you all think?
Chiffon.
it's a-
Ponyta.
Oh, sorry.
No, excuse me. Ponyta,
I
please.
think it's a hat.
Ponyta says hat.
All right, Chiffon,
Chiffon?
what's your answer?
I also think it's a hat. It's like one of those like Russian fur things. He's on the train and
Hey.
Dr. Zhivago going to find Larissa. Except it happens to be a mushroom and not fur.
It's the
Like
rat
that's
fur hat.
the rat fur hat. We haven't gotten to that Seinfeld
Oh,
yet.
you haven't. Andy, you're
We'll
in
get
for a
there.
treat.
Andy's watching Seinfeld for the first time all the way through.
Those of you in the know, wink, wink.
But sorry, that's where my mind went, was like, yes, those hats and Dr. Zhivago in this whole scene set when I saw his silly hat.
Well, you may be surprised to know that it is, according to Nintendo, not a hat, but part of his body.
Well, Nintendo can go some places because they're wrong.
I think that Nintendo has dissected enough toads to know whether it's a hat or it's his head.
Now, there's conflicting evidence about this, as with most Nintendo lore. In the Super Mario Bros. Super Show cartoon show, Toad was seen to remove that part of himself and show that it was a hat and that he had like a little pointy head with like a hair on top. But
What?
in other games, you see like an X-ray of Toad where it's shown to be part of his body.
So like you see his brain up in there?
I think so. Like there's like a little like a cavity up in there, and it's real weird. But Nintendo has officially stated that it is part of his body, and this is of like a year or two ago.
They're like calling a press conference. We would just like to clear some things up.
It was just like Toad on World 2 or Earth 2
Yeah.
has a hat. And all the rest of them, it's part of his body.
And I'd
Maybe
like to.
maybe that toad was an imposter. Maybe that toad was an
Not
infiltrator.
Toad.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, you know, you never know.
Well,
It is a war.
and I'd like to state for the record that, again, my source for all of this information is the Super Mario Wiki, which should not be questioned.
It is gospel. But you know it isn't the Super Mario Brothers movie. It's not.
Is Toad in that movie?
Yeah, he is. Remember, he's that dude with the guitar.
Oh, yeah.
He's the
that's
dude
right.
with the
I forgot
guitar, and
about
he's got
yeah.
that weird swirl on his head. They gave him like this haircut with a swirl on his head, and then he got turned into a Koopa. What a weird movie.
No, that's I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Do you not remember that part?
No, I don't. Yeah. I forgot about that part.
Yeah, in the movie, so in the Super Mario Brothers movie, which I know this isn't the Mario Brothers movie podcast, but in the Mario Brothers movie, the residents of the Mushroom Kingdom that was taken over by Dennis Hopper get devolutioned into Goombas and Koopas.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, and Toad
I
gets
remember the
turned into one.
Goombas.
Yeah. The Koopas were basically Goombas with different heads. Like they're exactly the same in the movie, except they have different head shapes. One's like a turtle or a lizardy. Well, they're all lizardy looking. One's like got a beak basically though, and one's like a more scrunchy head, and they're all awful. But I love the movie, but they're all awful.
Okay. All right.
I think you need a bonus episode for the movie.
Right.
So that we can like
watch
clear
it.
a lot of this stuff up. Yeah.
I absolutely
When you
think we
finish
should.
it, that'd be awesome.
I think it's coming.
So what else, Andy? What other lore do we need to know?
Well, as I think that's about all for this week. Aaron, did you have another lore you wanted to add?
Oh, there was something. What was I going to talk about?
He can't remember. We're going to call it there, folks.
Yeah, I think we probably should.
And this is probably going to be it for World 1-4 of Super Mario
Oh, wait, no, I
Brothers.
remember. I'm sorry. Let's dig into this real quick. He's an attorney.
Who?
Toad's an
What?
attorney.
I'm
So
going to need
instead
I'm
of
going to
a
need some
briefcase, he has a
some
hat.
evidence for this.
Didn't you say that? You said that he was like their barrister or something.
What?
He was like Koopa's barrister or something. You said this, not me.
What?
Okay, never mind. Apparently, I've lost my marbles, but I remember you talking about this on the previous failed awful
The
episode.
lost episode.
That he was like their grand vizier or something, and he was.
I think we were riffing on that. Like, what if he was like the Castellan or something?
Oh no, man! Because you blew my mind by saying that he was this, but maybe you started off as a joke, and I.
Well, he's a
misunderstood.
retainer.
That's it. He's a retainer. That means he's their lawyer.
the mushroom retainer. What? Retainer doesn't mean lawyer.
I've never heard anybody say anything besides they're on retainer. We've been talking to a lawyer. We're talking about a lawyer.
Well, retainer just means you're paying someone. It doesn't mean a lawyer.
Yeah, I guess that's fair
A
enough.
retainer, like a person, is just someone that serves a feudal lord.
I mean, you're generally talking about a lawyer. You weren't like, I have, I don't know, an orthodontist on retainer.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
You're like, look, buddy, I got an orthodontist on retainer. You know, that's not something that people say. I would say if you're talking about a retainer, I would say you're talking about a lawyer.
What if you go to an orthodontist to get a retainer because your teeth aren't right?
I know that's clearly where my mind was going. I was like, I can't back out of that.
All right, so maybe I misunderstood everything.
We're probably
I
going to
don't
cut
know.
this whole part out anyway.
What do you mean we're going to talk about? We're going to keep this all. It's gold. This is gold. Everybody listening is.
You're welcome, people.
You're all having a great time. But this is this is probably a good place to call it. This has been a lot of fun.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for
Yes,
being
thank
here,
you.
Cheffon
Thanks for being
and
on the show.
Ponyta. I hope you come back someday.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun hearing the perspective of non-Super Mario and non-video gamey types.
Yeah, it's been great. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
And thank you, listener, for listening.
Thank you, listener, for listening and for being a part of this journey. We hope you're playing along with us at home. We're going to be back real soon for World 2 of One Stage at a Time. And we hope that you'll, rate and review the show. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. Follow everything. Just go out and follow everything. And I'm sure you'll find us.
Indeed you will. Thank you very much. Have a good night, folks, or morning, or lunch, or whenever you're listening to this.
Bye.
Bye. A biento.